The Cold War was a chilling standoff between two global superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. From the late 1940s to the early 1990s, the world lived under the constant threat of nuclear annihilation, where one wrong move could have ignited a war unlike any seen before. But what if that nightmare had become reality? What if the Cold War had turned hot? In this video, we dive into the terrifying possibilities of a third world war, exploring how a single spark could have engulfed the globe in flames. The Flashpoint: Berlin or Cuba? One of the most dangerous moments during the Cold War came in 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Soviet nuclear missiles were stationed just 90 miles from US shores, and President John F. Kennedy was under immense pressure to respond. Had diplomacy failed, the US might have launched an airstrike or invasion, prompting the Soviets to retaliate in kind. Berlin, too, stood as a divided city, west and east, where tensions between NATO and Warsaw Pact forces were so high that even a misunderstanding could have led to armed conflict. If either of these flashpoints had escalated into open war, World War III would have begun not with declarations, but with fire. Conventional warfare, a brief moment before the bombs. Initially, both sides would have likely engaged in conventional warfare. NATO forces in Western Europe would clash with Soviet tanks pouring in from the east. Cities like Frankfurt, Warsaw, and Vienna would become battlegrounds. Naval forces would engage in the Atlantic and Pacific, and air battles would rage over Europe. But this phase would be short-lived. Neither side could afford to lose, and as soon as one began to falter, nuclear options would be placed on the table. The Cold War wasn't just a contest of ideologies, it was a contest with doomsday devices in hand. Nuclear apocalypse, the unthinkable becomes inevitable. The true horror of a hot Cold War lies in the unimaginable power of the nuclear arsenals each side possessed. By the early 1980s, the US and USSR together had over 60,000 nuclear warheads. In a full-scale exchange, cities across North America, Europe, and the Soviet Union would be obliterated in minutes. Washington, D.C., New York, Moscow, London, and Beijing reduced to radioactive ash. The concept of mutually assured destruction, MAD, wasn't just a theory. It was a guarantee that no one would win. Fallout would circle the globe. Climate models suggest that such a war would cause a nuclear winter, plunging the Earth into darkness, killing crops, and dooming billions. Global fallout and the collapse of civilization. Even nations not directly involved would suffer. Radiation clouds know no borders. Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia would endure famine, disease, and chaos. The global economy would collapse overnight. Governments would fall, military bases would become shelters. The internet, satellites, even electricity grids would go offline. Civilization as we know it would unravel. Survivors would face a new world of scarcity, conflict, and suffering. In the wake of the bombs, humanity would regress centuries in terms of technology and stability. Alternate history? What could have been done differently? Looking back, one cannot help but wonder, how close did we come to this? History shows we were dangerously close on multiple occasions. In 1983, during NATO's Able Archer exercise, the Soviets nearly mistook it for a real attack. Only the caution of a few brave individuals like Soviet officer Stanislav Petrov, who chose not to report a false alarm, saved the world. If leaders had been more aggressive or misread intentions, war could have erupted. Fortunately, diplomacy, deterrence, and sheer luck kept the Cold War cold. But the scars of fear and suspicion it left behind remind us just how fragile peace can be. So, what if the Cold War had turned hot? The world would have changed in an instant. Millions dead, cities erased, and civilization on the brink of extinction. While we'll never know the full extent of such a disaster, this dark possibility serves as a solemn reminder of the stakes that once hung in the balance. The Cold War may have ended, but the lessons it taught us remain more relevant than ever. In a world still armed with nuclear weapons and simmering rivalries, the question isn't just what if, it's what now. Thanks for watching. If this look into an alternate history fascinated you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dive historical content. Stay curious and stay safe.